St. Francis was a radical dude. Radical trust in God. Radical trust in the idea that the riches of our life aren't made up of stuff and things. It's a dramatic beginning, a very dramatic beginning. St. Francis isn't just a feel-good, cozy saint who liked birds and wolves and other creatures, and we get to bring our fluffy friends and feel just easy and warm and fuzzy. Though we do love the warm and fuzzy, especially the warms and fuzzies with the woofs and the licks and the sniffs and the sneezes and things that they'll do throughout the service today. But this passage reminds us that actually St. Francis was not a comfortable saint. St. Francis was a radical dude. And the reason I asked Adam to change up our music and have us sing Let Us Build a House was exactly because of how St. Francis really launched his ministry. He had a vision and a dream in which God asked him to rebuild his house, rebuild St. Damiano's church. And he did. This kind of got him in the crosshairs of his dad because he sold his dad's storehouse full of really expensive tapestries and fabrics because that was his dad's industry that he was supposed to inherit with all of its privilege and wealth and all the stuff that would go with it. So he sold that to pay for, well, anyway, you can see where this probably ended up. Dad was not happy. St. Francis was still on the young side. And Francis basically said, never mind. Dad, you can have all of it. And he gave up everything, including the clothes on his back, and walked away naked because he didn't want a thread of his father's stuff. It's a dramatic beginning, a very dramatic beginning. Radical trust in God, and radical trust in the idea that the riches of our life aren't made up of stuff and things, but is about love and trust and grace and mercy. And that's why we also celebrate St. Francis by bringing our furry friends. You know, Fido used to be such a popular name for dogs, like the faithful one, right? Right. That love that they show us, our cats, our dogs. I mean, sometimes our cats are a little circumspect, but you know, that affection, that unadulterated grace, the joy that they show us when we come home and they do that little happy dance and their toes click on the tile. Sometimes they sing us songs. That delight in us echoes God's delight in us. As amazing and miraculous as our pets find us to be, regularly showing up to love them and support them and sustain them, God loves us with that same delight. We also learn how hard it can be to play God for a creature as we try to care for our pets. And sometimes we have to gracefully let them go. And that is so hard, giving them mercy. And it gives us a window into some of the agony God's love for us brings the very heart of God as well. God's love for us so deep. Here's the thing. We can come to this feast today and bring our pets and bless them or take a blessing home for them, or if we're watching from home, cuddle with them now, give them a treat and a blessing when the time comes. And then we can go on with our day and we can go on with our lives. Or we can work with God to build a house made of love, a house of mercy, a house of grace, a house of forgiveness, a house of joy. And that's why I asked Adam to change up our musical playlist for the day. Because we're called to go out in this world and to continue to build the world God dreams for us. The reign of God, the beautiful, life-giving, liberating love of God. That's what we're called to do. as disciples of Jesus, of the one who gave everything for us. Building that house. And whether we do it in our place of work, in our volunteer time, how we love our neighbors, in the generosity we show, including in the generosity of our pledging here to keep St. Peter's being a beacon of this love in all that we do, God's calling us to build that house of love. So I invite you today, when you come to this rail to receive communion, invite God to nourish your soul and give you a vision of what it means to build God's house, just as God gave Francis a vision of rebuilding that church. What is your part to play? What are your bricks to lay? How are you called to be the one, God's person out there, building God's kingdom and God's house of love?